in the courthouse. Sunlight streams through the narrow, tall windows like tiny golden sparks and catches floating dust. The air is heavy, thick with tension and expectation. Kody sits at the defendant's table, his hands clutching the edge so tightly his knuckles are white. His posture is stiff, almost robotic, but his eyes betray the storm inside. Worry, fear, and a gnawing awareness that today nothing will remain hidden. Across the room, Robyn adjusts her scarf, her hands shaking imperceptibly as she struggles to compose herself. Christine leans back in her chair several feet away, crossing her arms over her chest, a faint smirk tugging at the corner of her lips. Every flicker of her expression is loaded with challenge. Janelle's face is impassive, but her eyes dart nervously toward the judge. And Meri sits quietly, her hands folded tightly in her lap, a thin line of tension drawn across her forehead. It feels as though decades of secrets, whispered arguments, and personal betrayals have culminated in this. The judge enters the courtroom, and the room immediately falls silent. The echo of his footsteps seems unnaturally loud in this hushed chamber. He takes his seat, commencing to consider papers with meticulous, deliberative precision, further heightening the sense of unease in the room. Kody swallows hard as his mind replays the events that have led here. The nights of silent arguments, the tears in dark bedrooms, the confessions whispered behind closed doors, and the promises that were broken almost in the same breath they were uttered. All those secrets will be laid bare on the polished wood and tall windows of this courtroom. And that thought sends a shiver down Kody's spine. Janelle is called forward as the first witness. She rises with calculated slowness, each movement deliberate. Her voice, though steady when she speaks, only barely conceals the quiver beneath. "I never wanted it to come to this," she says, glancing momentarily at Kody. But sometimes, silence protects the wrong people. Her words hang in the air like smoke, curling and twisting before dissipating. The prosecutor bends forward, eyes sharp and calculating, ready to pick apart each hesitation, every pause. Christine watches Janelle like a hawk, her gaze sharp and assessing, while Robyn shifts in her seat, as if preparing for a storm. Meri keeps her gaze on the floor, shoulders stiff in preparation for impact. The cross-examination starts, and the atmosphere in the courtroom grows thick with tension. Every question is pointed, surgical, designed to pierce any crack in the well-oiled facade that this family has so carefully created. Christine's eyes blaze with remembered anger as she recalls nights of confrontation with Kody, nights when words were sharp and unforgiving. And yet none of the truths had surfaced publicly. Robyn's lips quiver as she recalls her hushed confessions, the moments of vulnerability she had tried to protect from everyone. Janelle's voice does not falter, but her eyes flicker with worry. Meri says nothing, but the implication of what her experiences amount to is present in the air, like an omen of a storm. The first evidence comes into view, a string of messages, screenshots that Kody never imagined would see the light of day. The courtroom falls silent. Murmurs of gasps spread through the audience, and the wives react at once, unfiltered. Christine's expression hardens, her lips pursing in a thin line of resistance. Robyn's hands tremble as she clasps them together in her lap. Janelle's expression softens, a look of relief mixed with trepidation crossing her features. Meri finally raises her head, an unsuspected intensity in her eyes that sends ripples throughout the room. These messages prove contradictory to Kody's earlier testimony, and the room seems to vibrate with the unspoken question: what else did he hide? The prosecutor bends down, his voice low but sharp as a razor. Mr. Brown, can you explain why these messages are contradictory to the statements you have already made? Kody swallowed hard, the dryness in his throat making his voice shake slightly. Every second stretched into eternity. The judge sat back in silence, his expression unreadable, as if weighing how deeply the truth would wound. Each word that flowed from Kody was picked apart, each hesitation counted. Meri speaks finally, her voice trembling but firm. "I've kept quiet for too long," she says as the words echo within the chamber. "And I can't anymore. You all need to understand what has been happening. All of you." The gravity of the moment seems to drop onto each person in the room. A heavy tension is in the air, almost electric. The courtroom feels just a little smaller, as if each breath were shared by those inside, as if even the walls themselves held it hostage. The sealed envelope is suddenly presented by a lawyer. Kody looks at it, and the dread creeps into his chest, as its contents promise revelations he had never imagined resurfacing. The wives look to each other. It is instinctive for each that whatever is inside has the power to irreversibly tilt the balance. With care, the judge opens the envelope to show documents that reveal financial discrepancies, secret conversations, and personal betrayals. Each revelation is a spark landing on dry kindling. The room feels charged and ready to ignite. Christine hunches forward, voice low and slicing, recounting memories of deceptions and manipulations. Her words are deliberate, sharpened by years of pent-up frustration. Robyn attempts to break in, tears glimmering in her eyes. "I can't stay silent anymore." The truth needs to get spoken. Her voice is firm, yet shaky, revealing the mix of fear and courage running through her. Janelle tries to mediate, her tone calm but firm. "We need to focus on what is true, not only what hurts the most." Even her calm presence cannot dam up the increasingly rising tide of emotion. A buzz of murmurs begins outside the courtroom. Journalists write down notes furiously, and fans inch their way forward for a glimpse of the fallout. Every observer in attendance knows that this is no ordinary family dispute. It is a meeting of personal betrayal and legal scrutiny. A storm of emotions that may well churn and consume everybody in its path. More witnesses come forward in this session, each one bringing revelations, some subtle, others explosive. Christine recalls moments Kody insisted never happened. Robyn recounts late-night confrontations filled with raw emotion. Meri reveals long-hidden frustrations that have silently festered for years. And Kody's carefully constructed defenses wobble under the onslaught, each layer of secrecy stripped away like peeling wallpaper. As the first session draws to a close, tension reaches a peak. Lawyers gather their papers. The judge's gavel hovers, and Kody's expression shifts from fear to disbelief. A hint of a shocking revelation lingers. A secret not yet unveiled. One that promises to upend alliances, expose hidden truths, and ignite emotional chaos within this fragile family. The camera lingers on the wives, who begin to whisper among themselves. Glances flicker, a mix of fear, defiance, and uncertainty. Christine's smirk dissolves into a thin, hard line. Robyn bites her lip, trying to hold back tears. Meri clenches her fists, preparing herself for the battles she never sought but cannot avoid. Kody's eyes dart nervously from one wife to the next, realizing that the delicate balance he has kept in place for years is collapsing right before him. The gavel falls to indicate recess. The room empties slowly, each step a seeming echo of a heartbeat in the silence thereafter. The audience is left with that one lingering question. Which secret will surface next? And who will crumble under its weight? The morning sun filters through the courthouse windows, stretching long shadows on the polished wood floors. This time, the wives enter separately, each carrying a different kind of tension. Robyn's trembling determination, Christine's controlled defiance, Janelle's measured calm, and Meri's with a storm brewing ominously behind her eyes. Kody rises slightly as they take their seats, but the stiffness in his posture gives away his inner turmoil. Today, the revelations will be more piercing, the testimonies more personal, and the emotional stakes higher than ever before. With Robyn on the stand, her hands knuckle white as she clutches the edges of the table. Incidents she had previously kept buried slowly begin to tumble out. Her voice shakes but is strengthened with every sentence, a need to finally speak her truth. She speaks of nights when she felt sidelined, ignored, or misled. Moments of whispered secrets that slowly eroded her trust in Kody. Christine sits forward, narrowing her eyes as her lips press into a tight judgment line, weighing every word Robyn utters. The courtroom is silent at first, digesting each bombshell, then fills with tension when the prosecutor produces a set of emails and messages that certainly contradict Kody's earlier statements. A murmur ripples through the room. Kody's face clamps down, beads of sweat forming at his temple. The audience feels the truth now is no longer something Kody can contain. It is an avalanche ready to crush the careful balance he has maintained. Next up is Janelle, her voice even but razor-sharp, recounting moments of subtle manipulation and emotional neglect. Every detail adds another layer of tension, exposing fissures in Kody's previously untouchable persona. Meri's expression darkens as Janelle mentions times when loyalty was tested and boundaries crossed, moments that leave the entire courtroom holding its breath. Christine smirks slightly, as if finally the pieces of a puzzle fall into place, confirming suspicions she had quietly harbored for years. Then, the doors swing open abruptly. A surprise witness enters, a former close friend of the family, whose loyalty had shifted over the years. Gasps echo through the chamber as the witness begins to reveal moments of financial mismanagement, secret communications, and incidents of emotional betrayal. Robyn's eyes widen, her hands clenching the table as the implications hit her. Kody's skin pales. He finally realizes the careful facade he built over years is crumbling in front of everyone. The emotional intensity ramps up higher and higher. Christine's tone turns sharp and relentless as she points out every contradiction in Kody's testimony. Robyn's voice shakes, but her weight cannot be ignored. I won't stay silent anymore. You all deserve to know the truth. Janelle tries to moderate, her words of calm hardly cutting through the storm of accusations and raw emotion. Meri's hands close into fists, her knuckles white, as she prepares to speak her own long-suppressed truths. The judge tries to maintain decorum, but even their authority cannot contain the waves of tension in the room. Each revelation seems to ignite another, cascading rapidly, and no one is safe from scrutiny. Kody's attempts to respond are met with disbelief, while the wives' testimonies grow more personal and emotionally charged. One can practically feel the air vibrate with emotion, heartbreak, betrayal, and anger mingling into an almost tangible presence. As the session wears on, alliances begin to shift. Christine's defiance seems to embolden Robyn, while Janelle's calm testimony balances Meri's sudden bursts of emotional intensity. The courtroom becomes a stage for long-buried grudges and painful confrontations. Kody sits, caught between the women, the weight of his decisions pressing down like a physical force. Every sentence he utters seems to falter under the scrutiny. Every defense crumbling before the flood of evidence and emotion. Piling on like a maelstrom, each testimony reveals a fragment of the family's fractured past. Secret messages and financial discrepancies, personal betrayals, all are revealed. The audience, both within and outside of this courtroom, leans forward, transfixed by the drama unfolding before them. Anger flashes in Christine's eyes. Robyn's tears glimmer in the harsh, fluorescent lights. Janelle tries to balance, and Meri finally finds her voice, delivering lines that ring like a hammer against steel. By the end of the session, the family dynamic has shifted irrevocably. Kody is isolated, his authority challenged on every front. Alliances among wives are tested and broken and reformed in ways quite unexpected. The evidence presented today promises to leave lasting damage, both emotional and legal, as the family faces a future they could not have anticipated. The courtroom feels smaller than ever this morning, as though the walls themselves are leaning in to witness the storm about to erupt. Kody sits rigidly at the table, his eyes darting from wife to wife, searching for signs of loyalty or betrayal. Robyn sits upright, jaw clenched, hands folded neatly, though her shoulders betray her anxiety. Christine leans slightly forward, her expression a mixture of defiance and guile, while Janelle assumes her usual calm exterior, though the flicker in her eyes speaks volumes of the emotional toll taken. Meri sits quietly, yet there is an undercurrent of steel in her posture. Today, she has decided, will be different. The session opens with Robyn being called again to the stand. She inhales deeply, trying to steady the tremble in her voice. But the courtroom is too charged for her to remain calm. "I've tried to forgive." She starts off with glistening eyes and unshed tears in them. "But forgiveness cannot come at the cost of truth. You all deserve to know what's been hidden from you." Her words strike the room like thunder, reverberating off the polished wood walls. Christine's face goes hard. She leans in, her eyes slits, her voice a whisper. Yet razor sharp. "Tell them everything. Leave nothing out." Robyn swallows hard and continues with her testimony. She recounts nights filled with fear and doubt, moments when Kody's decisions caused rifts in the family that no one dared to speak about. The prosecutor often breaks in, prompting for details, each question a calculated attempt to chip away at Kody's defenses. The tension ratchets higher when a new set of evidence is introduced, recordings and messages that were previously unseen. Gasps fill the courtroom. Kody's skin grows pale as he shifts in his seat, his face taut with anxiety. Each wife reacts differently. Christine smirks faintly, satisfaction lacing her expression. Robyn trembles, trying to remain composed, while Janelle nods subtly, acknowledging the credibility of the evidence. Meri's eyes widen in shock at first, then harden, her jaw tightening with resolve. Meanwhile, the surprise witness from the last session is called again, this time to confront Kody directly. The voice of the witness is firm, precise, but with an unmistakable edge. "You told them one version," the witness begins, looking Kody right in the eye. "But the truth is something else entirely." The room feels electric, every head now turned, every breath caught. Kody opens his mouth to respond, but the words seem caught and swallowed by the weight of the accusations. Christine leans forward, and her tone turns icy, deliberate. "Do you really expect us to believe this now?" she asks, eyes glinting with anger and contempt. Robyn's tears glimmer in the harsh lighting as she continues, recounting moments of emotional neglect, subtle manipulations, and hidden truths that Kody had insisted never existed. With each revelation, more of the remaining structure of trust in the room breaks down. Janelle's calm voice cuts through the tension like a lifeline. We must remember the facts. She insists softly, and separate them from emotion. But even she cannot mask the tremor in her voice, the weight of watching her family unravel under scrutiny. Meri finally rises, voice cracking at first, then growing stronger. I've kept silent for too long. No more. You need to hear it all. The testimony reveals shocking details about hidden relationships, unspoken betrayals, and moments of manipulation that leave the audience in stunned silence. The courtroom gets much hotter. Tension is palpable in every corner. Kody attempts to defend himself, but his voice falters, betraying his mounting panic. Christine's eyes flash with triumph. Robyn's frustration bubbles under her carefully maintained composure, while Janelle's attempts at mediation were drowned out by the storm of emotion. Meri's voice rises, each word hitting against fragile glass. Long-buried conflicts spill into the room, and everyone is exposed, vulnerable, and on edge. The prosecutor steps forward, presenting one final piece of evidence for the day, a document that could upend everything Kody has tried to maintain. Gasps ripple through the courtroom as the contents are revealed. Christine leans back, arms crossed, a sly smile of vindication curling at her lips. Robyn clutches the edge of the table, holding back tears and frustration. Janelle's face is calm, but her eyes betray concern, while Meri's jaw tightens as she processes the full implications. The session really gets intense. Kody sits frozen as every strategy he had carefully crafted falls apart under the weight of the evidence and emotional testimonies. The judge raises an eyebrow, silently urging the courtroom to maintain order, but the tension is uncontainable. Witnesses, wives, and even Kody himself are caught in a web of truth, lies, and betrayal that threatens to consume them all. Today the courtroom is suffocating, as if the air itself has thickened in expectation. The sunlight streaming through the tall windows falls in harsh angles, underlining every expression, every twitch of anxiety, and every subtle glance. Kody sits at the center, his hands folded tightly, but the slight tremor of his fingers betrays his inner turmoil. Robyn sits upright, jaw clenched, eyes darting around the room, as though anticipating the next blow. Christine leans forward, her posture predatory, a faint smirk tugging at her lips. Janelle remains calm, a pillar of measured composure, though her eyes betray the unease she cannot mask. Meri, silent until now, sits poised like a coiled spring, the tension in her almost visible. The session opens, with the judge calling the courtroom to order. A hush falls over everyone, but it is a fragile quiet, a quiet pregnant with imminent chaos. The prosecutor rises, holding new evidence in his hands, and the room leans forward in one collective manner. It is a stack of documents, photos, and audio that nobody expected. The first document is handed to Kody, who hesitates, eyes wide while reading. Each page weighs heavier than the last, and the tension in the room grows almost unbearable. Robyn is the first to respond. Her voice, though it initially trembles slightly, now strengthened through determination. I've watched too long, lived in the shadows of lies, she says to Kody. This family deserves to know what's real, what's true, and it starts here. This is like a bolt of sudden thunder to the room. Christine's smirk is wiped away, her eyes narrowing into a sharp, calculating glare. Janelle's expression remains calm, but she leans forward a bit, as if preparing herself for the storm of testimony. Meri tightens her jaw and focuses on Kody, the fire in her eyes unmistakable. The prosecutor starts detailing the evidence, financial documents, secret messages, and personal recordings that each unravel a new layer of deception. Gasps and murmurs ripple through the courtroom. Kody's face grows pale, his hands tightening around the edge of the table. Christine's voice is low and cutting, punctuating each revelation with a pointed remark. Robyn trembles, fighting to keep her composure intact, while Janelle's calm exterior becomes a mask for the weight of emotion she bears. Meri finally rises, voice firm and unwavering, to reveal her. The tension escalates when the prosecutor introduces audio recordings, conversations between Kody and a confidant that actually contradict much of what he has said under oath. The courtroom reacts instantly. Christine leans back in her seat, crossing her arms, a victorious glint in her eyes. Robyn's hands clench as tears threaten to spill, her voice cracking as she recounts what she heard and experienced in those moments. Janelle tries to restore balance with calm and factual statements. But even her composed tone cannot help from stirring up an unending storm. Meri's lips pressed into a tight line as she delivers a stinging revelation, exposing a betrayal none saw coming. The atmosphere is electric, with every emotion magnified by the stakes. Kody attempts to respond, his words faltering, and the wives pounce on each hesitation. Christine bends forward, voice sharp. "Do you expect us to believe your lies now?" The courtroom lights reflect off Robyn's tears as she continues on, recounting each incident of neglect and dishonesty. Janelle's soft reminders of facts serve as an anchor in the storm, but Meri cuts through the tension like a knife. The audience outside the courtroom is engrossed, murmuring among themselves at the magnitude of the revelations coming forth. The gavel in the judge's hands is raised, a reminder of authority trying and failing to contain the chaos. The emotional intensity reaches a peak when an unexpected witness is called forward. A one-time family friend, privy to years of hidden conversations and behind-the-scenes manipulations, steps up and drops another bombshell. Evidence of secret dealings, moments of deception, and personal betrayals even the wives had not anticipated. Christine narrows her eyes, racing through her mind with the new information. Robyn's lips quiver with anger and relief that she struggles to hold back. Janelle silently takes in the details of what has been said, weighing their implications. Meri's fists, clenched until now, relax just a bit, her face a mask of steely determination. Kody sits frozen, every defense crumbling under the weight of truth and emotion converging in the courtroom. And the testimonies continue to pile on, adding an emotional layer to the legal chaos. Secrets long hidden spill into the open. Alliances among the wives start to shift. Christine's defiance emboldens Robyn, while Janelle's calm attempts at mediation reveal fissures in Kody's defense. Meri's revelations are devastating. Moments of manipulation and neglect, once private, are now laid bare, with Kody exposed and vulnerable. The evidence and emotional weight piled up to a crescendo as the session drew to a close. Kody is cornered now. The balance of power has shifted completely. The wives' emotions run high. Robyn, a mixture of grief and resolve. Christine, hard-edged triumph. Janelle, careful calculation. And Meri, righteous fury. Outside observers leaned forward, transfixed, as the family's private turmoil became a public spectacle. Heavy with anticipation, the courtroom awaits the commencement of the fifth session. It is electric in the air, as if the walls have absorbed the tension from the other sessions and now exude it back to everyone inside. Kody sits at the center, trying to project composure, but the tightness in his shoulders and the flicker of unease in his eyes betray him. Robyn sits upright, hands clasped tightly, jaw set with determination. Her eyes scan the room constantly, searching for signs of betrayal, loyalty, or hidden truths. Christine leans forward deliberately and predatorily, with just a hint of a smirk on her lips as she watches Kody squirm. Janelle's calm exterior is intact, but there is a flicker in her eyes that denotes concern. Meri sits slightly apart from the others, unreadable, but her posture subtly tense, suggesting she is coiled to strike emotionally when the moment demands it. The judge calls the session to order, the gavel echoing like a heartbeat in the silent courtroom. All eyes finally settle upon Kody as the prosecutor rises, holding a new set of documents that promises to change the dynamics yet again. Kody swallows hard, feeling the weight of the evidence press down on him like a physical force. Each page, each message, each record tells a story he hoped would never come to light. Robyn takes the stand first. She takes a deep breath, attempting to steady the tremble in her hands and the quiver in her voice. "I've silently borne this pain for years," she starts, her voice steady but threaded with emotion. "I've kept quiet to preserve what little peace remained, but I can't anymore. You deserve to know the truth, all of it." Her words reverberate within the courtroom, heavy, inevitable. Christine's eyes narrow, her smirk slowly dissolving as the weight of Robyn's testimony starts to set in. Janelle leans forward slightly, taking it all in, weighing the emotional and strategic impact. Meri shifts in her seat, her lips pressed into a thin line, wordlessly marshalling her own truths. The prosecutor methodically introduces the evidence. Messages, recordings, and photographs, all meticulously organized, each one peeling back layers of deception, exposing hidden betrayals and moments of personal manipulation. Kody's hands tighten around the edge of the table, the strain visible in his posture. Christine leans forward, voice cutting like a knife, recounting her own observations, contradictions she has noted in Kody's past statements, and the silent manipulations she has endured. Robyn swallows hard, fighting back tears, while Janelle quietly notes the factual inconsistencies, acting as a stabilizing presence in the chaos. Meri finally rises, voice trembling at first, then gathering strength. Her words hit the courtroom like a thunderclap. Revelations of emotional neglect, hidden conversations, and moments of manipulation no one anticipated. The emotional intensity rises when the surprise witness from the previous session is called again. This time, they bring forward a collection of emails and recordings that contradict Kody's testimony in ways even the prosecutor had not expected. The courtroom reacts instantly. Gasps echo through the room, and the wives' reactions are immediate and raw. Christine's eyes flash with satisfaction. Robyn clutches the table as tears spill freely. Janelle's calm demeanor conceals her growing anxiety, and Meri's jaw tightens as she absorbs the implications of the evidence. Kody sits frozen, the weight of his carefully constructed defenses collapsing around him. Christine leans forward, her voice cold and unyielding. "After everything, do you really think we just accept this misinformation?" she says, her words slicing through the silence like a knife. Robyn shakes, her voice breaking as she presses on, relating personal betrayals, lost moments, and covered-up truths Kody refused to own up to. Janelle seeks balance with calm, objective statements. Even so, she cannot conceal the wavering in her voice. Meri's disclosures cut to the quick of family dynamics, revealing secrets kept hidden for years. The judge tries to re-establish order, but the storm of emotions can't be contained. The wives' testimonies, Kody's crumbling defenses, and the cascading evidence combine into a charged atmosphere, seemingly alive. Every word spoken adds weight to the narrative. Every pause pregnant with unspoken tension. The audience, both inside the courtroom and outside watching, leans in, transfixed by unfolding drama. Kody finally speaks, his voice tight and strained. He attempts to explain, to defend himself, but each word falters under scrutiny. Christine seizes the opportunity, her voice sharp and relentless, pointing out inconsistencies and contradictions in Kody's statements. Robyn's voice rises in determination, recounting the emotional toll of years of deception. Janelle's calm interjections are almost drowned out by the intensity of the courtroom's emotions. Meri stands, finally letting out a pent-up storm of truth that leaves everyone reeling. The prosecutor brings forward one last piece of evidence for the session, a set of recordings that reveal previously unknown interactions and decisions made behind closed doors. The courtroom falls silent as the contents are revealed. Kody's face pales, his composure slipping. Christine's smirk turns into a grim line of vindication. Robyn's tears glimmer in the bright courtroom lights as she absorbs the depth of the revelations. Janelle takes careful notes. Her calm presence offers a fragile counterbalance. Meri's expression hardens, her eyes focused intently on Kody, silently measuring the consequences of the exposure. The session escalates as emotions boil over. Kody tries to explain himself, which is met with incredulity. Christine's voice sharpens with accusation. Robyn's grief and determination clash in her trembling words. And Meri's revelations cut deep into the fragile family structure. Janelle's calm reasoning is the only thread of rationality amid the storm, though even she cannot contain the intensity of what has unfolded. As the session draws to a close, the weight of evidence, testimony, and emotional confrontation has everybody in this courtroom on edge. Kody is cornered, exposed, and vulnerable. Alliances among the wives have shifted in ways nobody could have imagined. Trust is shattered, and the balance of power is completely altered. The audience is left stunned, hanging on the precipice of the next revelation.